Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending time with me. I should not have put out a video yesterday. I was so tired. Our electricity had been going off between 2 and 4 a.m. every night for the past week, and before that from 4 until 6 a.m., which means that for nearly 2 weeks I have not slept through one single night. The moment the electricity goes off, the fans go off and the sweat and the mosquitoes come. I must say that the open Vicks does help, and burning lavender incense also repels the mosquitoes. But there is always the 1, 2 or 3 diehards which will zoom in my ears or try to fly up my nostrils, even if I douse myself in peaceful sleep. This morning I was lucky enough to fall asleep again at 5 a.m. and I slept until about 7 a.m. and those 2 hours made a huge difference, but I'm not always that lucky. Okay, so today is the last day of Harry's case in the High Court, and as you already know, I am of the opinion that this should not have been entertained or even gone as far as it has. I must also apologize because I made a huge mistake. I saw this morning that after this 3-day judicial review, the entire legal battle will have cost the taxpayer about £1 million. What an utter disgrace. Now today that I'm thinking a little clearer, I want to bring you the list of reasons why I think this had been a huge mistake on the part of Harry and the court for entertaining it. And I want to thank the person who contributed his knowledge and expertise to this video. Thank you, I appreciate it. But before we even get to that and how this may affect Harry's security, I want to point out one thing I already alluded to in my previous video, but which I should have emphasized more. Harry's claim is basically that he should be given state security in light of the threats and risks he faces. The fact of the matter is, and everybody is arguing this point, but it is no longer necessary because it is now a matter of court record. The fact is that Harry has not lost state security. It has just been scaled back and is being treated differently. 1, he has to request it, and 2, he must do so 28 days in advance so the circumstances of his visit can be assessed so that the right number of correctly trained and or available personnel can be allocated to the job. Yes, you know, the Met Police does not have limitless vehicles and personnel as Harry seemed to think. Secondly, as a former Royal Protection Officer said and pointed out, every time Harry is in the country for anything which has anything to do with the royals, he does get the state security, like for instance for a funeral, for a jubilee, or any other royal event. So basically, Harry is wasting £1 million of your money for nothing. Well, for you and me and any normal thinking person, it is nothing. But for him, there are 3 distinct reasons. Number 1, getting state-funded security inflates his ego and in his mind brings his status one step closer to that of his brother William. Number 2, he wants armed security because when he brings his own security, they're not allowed to carry firearms. Number 3, he wants automatic state protection whenever, for whatever reason, he sets foot in the country. And why would that be? Because technically that elevates his security status to IPP status. And because he has automatic state security in Britain, he can request it wherever else he goes, be it in your country or mine. And IPP status will not only mean that we will have to pay for his security when he visits, but it can also affect any or every future cases made against him. And we will get to that a bit later. So basically, £1 million are being wasted on Harry's ego, to cut a long story short. But that is indeed as clear as day, and as vomit-inducing as most of Harry and Meghan's other nasty actions had been. There is another side to it all that Dumb and Dumber there in Montecito have clearly not thought about. And this is where my helper came in with his knowledge of security. Now, I've touched on this before in a very, very old video when I spoke about the Harkle children being kept out of the public eye. There are two sides to being visible. The one side is that if you are visible, you are also recognizable. Let me explain. Let's say Prince George is being abducted by some crazy nut who wants a little boy for him or herself. What are the chances that he or she will be able to go anywhere without him being recognized? That is why many people and children actually manage to go missing, because all they have to do is change their hair, for instance. If they always wore it a side path, now make them wear it a middle path, and voila, we ordinary folk will walk right past them in the street. I mean, take Lily for instance. We don't really know what Lily really looks like. The last time we saw an alleged proper photograph of her, she was still a baby, a 1-year-old. We would not recognize her if she stepped on our toes. But if you are also very visible but keep shooting your mouth off like Harry and Meghan, you end up making people angry, and angry people become mad people, and mad people are unpredictable. And that, my dears, is the truth. So Harry is adding to his own risk continuum and victimology. And I mean this in legal and law enforcement terms and not psychological terms. Harry is acting in a traitorous manner towards the country and the monarch and the monarchy. And the monarchy is the way of life, the culture and tradition of England. And people get very heated and emotional when it comes to the monarchy. I mean, just ask me. I know that only too well. So all these legal battles, particularly one like this against his father, the king's government, could increase the risk he faces. Harry's lack of decorum and his habit to blab certain information which is best kept private does not help either. Giving the number of Taliban he supposedly killed in his book and subsequent interviews is not very clever in terms of his personal safety and security. And now, very soon, Harry will be involved in legal action in America because the Heritage Foundation is continuing their quest to find out whether Harry lied in his visa application. And in their court filings, they actually state that through statements in his book and during television interviews in which Harry admitted to using hallucinogens and other types of drugs, Harry was actually promoting the use of drugs. Now, I do not need to take this any further because we all read enough or watch enough true crime to know that the use of drugs, no matter what kind, increases your risk 100-fold and in so many ways. So unfortunately, Harry is doing it all to himself. So, in my opinion, Harry does not need state protection. He needs protection from himself. Firstly, in a drug rehabilitation center, and then a stint in a mental health facility. As for his wife, in my opinion, the same applies to her. We saw her coming out of the back of a building in Santa Barbara after allegedly visiting a gym or a health center in an old jersey full of dog hair and wearing a diamond bracelet and pinky ring worth likely $100,000, if not more. Yes, guys, like it is safe to walk down an alleyway at the back of a building wearing jewelry like that. In my opinion, it is almost like Meghan is begging for trouble. I mean, she even smiled at the camera like saying, "Yes, please, show the people what I carry on me in alleyways behind buildings in Santa Barbara." Their stupidity is so astounding that I find it hard to swallow. Are they really that stupid, or do they want something to happen? The other thing I wish to mention before I go is how Harry and Meghan have increased the risk to the royal family. I have seen firsthand how crazed some of their supporters can get. We heard of the huge number of hate mail Catherine received after Meghan's "Catherine made me cry" saga during the Oprah interview. Now, the allegations are getting even worse. Actually, every time they come up with a new allegation, it is worse than the previous one. We are now at a point where the racism allegations have names attached to it. Now, how dangerous is that? Yes, we see the King and Catherine going about their business and looking like none of it is actually bothering them. But we are not privy to what is indeed happening behind the scenes. How many threatening and hateful letters have they received this time? How fearful are they really? And what may they be hiding behind those smiles? We don't know for sure, but from past experience, I can tell you that I'm relatively sure there were a number of pieces of hate mail more after the release of Scobie's book. Okay guys, I trust this video was a little better, a little clearer than yesterday's, and I hope that tonight I will be able to, for once, sleep straight through until tomorrow morning. If so, then I'll see you back here tomorrow. So, until then, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.